Hey, it's Brad from Break Room Los Angeles, and today I'm going to teach you how to throw an axe. Alright, so before we get started throwing the axe, we'll show you the outcome we want. When we're axe throwing, we're going for one rotation. So when we throw the axe, we want the axe to do one full rotation in the air and then hopefully stick into the board. Your axe has the highest chance of sticking to the board if it hits like this. You want this top part on the blade to hit. So on our black lines that I'll talk about later, I'll talk about how to adjust yourself to get the tip of the axe in each time. Sometimes your axes may stick if you hit like this, or even like this, but the highest chance of it sticking to the board, especially on these new boards, is like that. Also, each time you throw two, you can notice if your axe is sideways. You can always look to fix that. Basically, axe throwing, you determine the outcome of why your throw missed based off of how it hits. So you want to make sure each time you throw two, you see how your axe hit the board. If it hit like this, you need to move up a little bit. We recommend 4 to 6 inches. You can also raise your hands up a little bit, whatever one feels more comfortable. If your axe hits like this, or the handle back like that, you need to move back a little bit, or you can go lower on the axe handle. All right, now that we've gone over that, let's get into throwing. So here we are. Go our grip, dominant hand on the bottom, other hand over the top like that. Your thumbs will make an X. And then when we throw, we're gonna come directly over our head. So like this. Forward again. When you throw, you don't want to go to the sides like this. Going to the sides like this will make your axe hit sideways. It won't rotate all the way, so a lot of common mistakes from that. Also, when you go behind, some people do too much pressure on one hand, and it'll actually twist the axe behind their hand. So if the axe is like this, it won't stick. You want to make sure to keep that blade straight. And a good way to do that is to do it in slow motion, your first one. Then pause, make sure your blade's straight, you're good to go. Now that we've gone over grip, we're gonna go over these black lines. They're set up as a guide. They're set up to give you one rotation. Moving forward and backwards from these lines will affect the rotation of your axe. So for each thrower, obviously there's a little variation in each throw. You have to find the sweet spot for you. So how I recommend to start, we'll start in the middle of the line, my dominant foot back. And when we throw, we almost do a rocking motion. So you don't have to lift your foot up, but you'll come onto your back foot like this, step forward onto your front foot. So a little change in motion to help propel your axe. Axe throwing isn't a strength thing, it's a momentum thing and getting the sweet spot on the axe. So we want to get this top edge into the board. So for example, if I was going to throw, like I said, dominant foot back. Then foot forward, step onto my back foot, come behind me with the axe, straight line, step onto my front foot, arms go straight out, arms in a straight line, you want your elbow, wrist, everything straight when you release. Now that we know the basics, let's put it all together. You get a lot of tips and tricks on how to improve is seeing how your axe hits. So everything in axe throwing is adjustable. So every time I throw, I'm going to make sure and see how my axe hits, and then everything from there we can change. Let's talk about some mistakes that first-time throwers make. Were you able to spot my mistake? If you guessed A, you got it right. My release, as you see, was too early. If you got the first one wrong, this is your time to get it right. What did I do wrong? As you might have guessed, I released too late. So the first one I released too early. If I hit above the target, if you hit below the target, you release too late. So you have to find that sweet spot in between. All right, let's make it a little bit harder now. Spot the mistake. So as you see here, if you look at every throw, you can see sort of how to improve next time. As you see here, it's the bottom of the axe. It's not the top inch that we wanted to get in up here, the sweet spot. And then also the handle hit. So 9 times out of 10, this axe will actually bounce out, or if the handle just hits, it won't stick. So remember, when you're throwing, you want to get that sweet spot, just like that top inch. So moving forward and backwards will help you adjust you, get you there. Obviously, there's a little variation on each throw, so you got to find what works for you. Once you get started and you get a couple sticks in the board, we can start working your release point, tune in your aim a little bit for the first 10 minutes we recommend. Then it gets fun and you can really get into adjusting. Bad. Gotta scoot up. Get it like that. See this? I can tell this was a stick. This one hit a little sideways, so it was crooked and they were too far back.